Maybe I should write a book. It would be about my daughter who has autism and mental deficits. It's still kind of a work in process. I don't know how it's going to end, and I don't really have a title yet. Maybe I could call it The Gospel According to Saint Marie. I know it will have a lot of Easter stories in it. Now, in many ways, she is a Good Friday girl, but she is also an Easter girl. Over the years, she's given me quite a few Easter stories. You know, the church, the Christian church, exists because of Easter stories. Before there was a New Testament, before there were Christian scriptures, before there were the written Gospels, there was the storytelling community. People told their stories about Jesus, like the one we heard today from Luke's Gospel. The people who loved Jesus before the cross still loved him afterward. And they still told stories about him. Stories of how he taught. Stories of how he healed. Stories of how he lived. And stories of how he died. And then, what happened after. The storytelling community experienced Easter. Christ is risen. Jesus was alive and still with them. The storytelling community became the Easter people, became the Christian church. They had Easter stories to tell. And you know what? Easter stories still happen. My daughter Marie has made me a few, like this one from a few years ago. It was right after Easter, and she and I went for a walk, just the two of us. Now, you have to understand that if Marie is awake, she's talking. She talks nonstop. We know she's fallen asleep if we don't hear her voice, you know what I mean? So I'm going to give you only the highlights of our talk. There are always lots of extraneous comments in her speech. Well, as we walked along that day during the Easter season, just for fun, I told her the Easter story again. I know it by heart from the gospel accounts, but I told it at a level she could understand. And then I asked her a question. I said, Marie, who is Jesus to you? And she said, he's my friend. He loves me. Great preacher's kid answer, right? Well, then she chattered on about some other stuff. And then I said, I'm glad Jesus is your friend. She replied, do you want to see him? I was taken aback. I said, well, yes. She asked, today? Holy smoke, she's like one of those aggressive prophets in the Bible. Today? So I left a long silence, and she chattered some more about some other stuff. And then I tried again. I said, so how do I see him? She replied simply and directly, in your heart. We kept walking, she kept chattering, and at the end of the walk, she said, this was a good walk. It was good for our hearts. Well, that was an Easter Monday some years ago, but the story actually doesn't end there. There's more to it. 2 weeks later, 2 weeks after this conversation, I took Marie for another walk. It was a gorgeous evening. And I was still kind of in the glow, so I reminded her of that conversation we'd had 2 weeks before. And then I asked her another question. I said, Marie, what did Jesus say the last time he talked to you? Without pausing, she said, he remembers my heart and he loves the smiles on my face. And then she chattered on about some other stuff. And finally she asked, are you going to write this down? You bet, sweetheart. And I will tell this Easter story to anyone who will listen. I've been blessed by the gospel according to Saint Marie. But I've got a theory. I think I've been blessed because I'm a little slow. You see, this is an obvious Easter story. It hit me in the head like a brick. The risen Christ is often a lot more subtle in our lives. Sometimes we have to look harder for the Easter stories in our lives. They are there. Maybe I get the occasional obvious Easter story so that I can recognize a more subtle one when it comes along. So I guess I'm inviting you to
to the same alertness Marie instills in me. Listen up. Keep your eyes open. Keep your heart open. Christ is risen. He's not far from you. Find your own Easter stories. Take it from Marie. They are good for your heart. Amen.